Hello, good evening and welcome to the program. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Tonight, we focus on once again Nigeria's deepening security crisis, this time in the north-central region where fear and frustration are mounting. The Emir of Yeshikira in Baruteng local government area of Kwara State has raised an alarming distress call, accusing authorities of abandoning communities under siege by a terror group identified as Mahmuda, a faction reportedly linked to Boko Haram. The group is said to be wreaking havoc across parts of Kwara North Senatorial District and neighboring Borgu in Niger State, carrying out deadly attacks, razing villages, and inflicting terror on helpless residents. In an emotional interview, the traditional leader lamented that despite multiple warnings and cries for help, the authorities continue to deny the presence of terrorists in the region, leaving locals to defend themselves with little more than courage and fate. Just last week, the traditional ruler confirmed that a community-bought security vehicle was bombed during a clash with the group. The police, however, maintains that there is no credible evidence of such terror activity. A statement by the Kwara State Command flatly denies the presence of any insurgents or mass casualty events, describing recent reports as exaggerated and inciting. As the situation unfolds this evening, we ask the question, who do we believe, the government security agencies or the voices of the battered people? And how long can border communities like Kayama, Baruteng and Borgu cry out before someone listens? Joining me tonight to provide some much needed perspective to this development is Salihu Mahmud, a security analyst. Good evening to you. It's been a while. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. It's good to see you again.
Very pleasant evening to you. It's been a while.
Unfortunately, we're talking about a not so pleasant development. Help me understand what you have gathered so far about this new terror group and the effect it is having on volatile communities regarding their lives and their livelihood.
Well, for some days now, some of the inhabitants of Kayama local government, suburbs of Kemanji, Nanu, and areas like Kemanji, as well as Nukuzi, as well as Babete, then cutting across the Yeshikira area, some suburbs under Ilesha, Okuta in Baruteng local government, then also some parts of Babana, as well as abandoned wildlife forest of Wawa, are also at the receiving end. It is insinuated, and it has become reality, that there used to be a member of the dreaded Boko Haram, Mahmuda, who now moved from northeastern part of the country to northwestern part of the country. After joining the bandits in northwestern part of the country, now found safe haven in abandoned wildlife forest of Kanji, Wawa, Kayama, Kemanji, Karonzi, Nukuzi, as well as Babete, as well as Nanun, then Bani Adena area, then cutting across to the neighboring Baruteng local government, still in Kwara North, which houses Basoro, Bane, Kosoboso, which is the capital of the Baruteng local government. Then you have Yashikira, Nyani, Gure, Chikanda, Okuta, Ilesha, Nunguruma. In fact, except if we want to be pretensive, the entire farming arena now have been taken over by the bandits. And of recent, the root shock is that the vigilantes in Kayama local government that went to confront and engage as well as carry onslaught against them, some of them were killed. As I talk to you, their pictures are there and also of other things. And while this is going on, instead of the Kwara State Police spokesperson to give the true picture of things, now refuted what the ownership involvement intelligence report of the people have given to even federal authorities, because most of the privileged OI information, because you know the citizens also have roles to play. That's what we call ownership involvement, where we say if you see, you say. If you don't say, it tackles you. They gave all these things, all for the Kwara State Command to ridicule all this. Niger State Police Command confirmed that they exist in their own side. You know, Borgu extends from Kanji, Wawa, Agwara, Babana, Kayama, Kosubosu, Okuta, Yashikira, Gure, Chikanda, Ilesha Barba, and Boria, Shia, and also of other areas, about 3 local government. Only Borgu and the Agwara local government are in Niger State, while Kayama and Baruten are in Kwara State. A part of Bagudo in Kebbi State is also part of Borgu Empire. Even to Benin Republic, you have the Borgu presence there. So the issue now is the laxity at the part of Divisional Police Headquarters in Kayama, Kosubosu, Okuta, as well as the skeleton numbers of army. Because when you are going from Kanji to Kayama, the only thing you see the military personnel doing on the road is for commercial vehicles parking to go and give 100 or 200 naira. Not even going after. How can you say in a place that you already have privileged intelligence? For example, the Baruten Patriotic Alliance, through their secretary Seko, since 2020, gave privileged information to the government. We know that the state government under the governor is a chief security officer. They have some constraints because they don't have control of the battalion commanders, they don't have control of the commissioner of police and other establishment of the security agencies. But at least we have seen other state governors like that of Zamfara, Katsina, and Sokoto, even though the Kwara state governor, out of desire over when he had everything going on social media and other interactions, paid visit to Kayama today, and the general officer commanding 2nd Division in Ibadan, a major general, also went there to assure and also commiserate with the emirate, and also, but beyond that, there is need to establish standard security apparatus like a squadron of mobile police in Kayama, Kosubosu, Kanji. Kanji already have air weapons school, 221 and 101 battalion, but inhabitants of Kayama local government and Baruten don't have anything like that. You can count the number of military officers and personnel that are not up to 50. How can they confront bandits that run into hundreds?
So give us an understanding of the scale of the problem here in terms of the attacks, and what's the timeline looking like when these attacks have become so pronounced that it's leading to protests, it's leading to the traditional ruler calling for help in this particular manner. Give us an understanding of the scale of the attacks and how common they have become.
Even though the emir of Yashikira falls under Baruten local government, where it is currently devastative is Kayama local government, because we've lived as brothers and we're all from Borgu. The emir of Kayama is His Royal Highness Alhaji Muazu Omar, who is the key Rutod of the emir of Kayama. Initially, they go to suburbs, kidnap traditional rulers like Dagachi, collect some ransom and go. But last week ago, they particularly sent voice audio to inhabitants of Kemanji and suburbs, Nuku, Nanu, Babete, and other areas that don't come to your farmlands because we will not allow you to access your farmlands this farming season. They thought it was a joke until they invaded Kemanji and surrounding villages, and the vigilante that went to confront them, they killed a number of them. There were even, as I'm talking to you today, there is a particular vigilante, is from a town called Barisunla. They had gotten information that they were around Nanuzi, Nanu, and also of others. They went to confront them. They burnt the vehicle. They killed him outside those that were killed last week. And I can tell you, 5 years ago, there were certain numbers of vigilantes as well as officers and men of the divisional headquarters in Kayama who got privileged information about their presence in Nuku along Woro, Kanji, Wawa Road. They killed about 4 vigilantes. We had started this awareness over ago, like the Baruten Patriotic Alliance too, since 2020. Then my personal self, the kind of opportunity I have, appearing, analyzing on security on television stations like yours, Human Rights Radio, then Politics and Governance, and Rise. And also I emphasized it, but it was not taken seriously. So I think negligence at the part of security agencies is responsible. Then shortage of manpower. Then the most worrisome is the security establishment in Baruten and Kayama. You see that they are not effective. Rather than treating domesticated issues of settling fights, collecting some, even though it remains allegation bribes, they hardly carry out the onslaught against them. A lot of them there have stayed 10, 15, 20 years. So except if there is mass transfer of police officers in Kayama Division, Baruten Division, then let there be establishment of area command or Mopol Squadron or Counter-Terrorism Squadron or Battalion
you're accusing
of Army.
The police of ineptitude or what exactly?
The police at the divisional police headquarters level, honestly, they are nothing to write home about over there with no apologies. For other ones, maybe they might post for intelligence response team, special tactical squad, IG monitoring team, special forces, counter-terrorism unit, police mobile force. Because if you go to Kayama Division now, we don't have up to 10 Mopol. And you have this privileged information. That is why the spokesperson for the Kwara State Police Command had to come and start saying it is not true, it is not that, while contradicting our counterpart from Niger State Police Command. Now that the governor, who is the chief security officer, and the general officer commanding 2nd Division, as well as the commissioner of police, are visited today. Now, between the spokesperson and the OI people, ownership involvement people that are giving us privileged intelligence information that we are now spreading on social media, using our links in Abuja to get them to know who is now telling the truth. And the most worrisome is some of them over there, they've forgotten that the constitutional responsibility of internal security lies on the police. All this one you see, Army, Air Force, and others, police, DSS, civil defense, they are the ones that are in charge of internal security. All this one armed forces are doing is complementing the efforts. We are there to be enough and adequate intelligence gathering, manpower in Kayama, Baruten, and Kanji. All this wouldn't have been happening because for more than 5 years, we have been giving citizens intelligence to them, both on media, print and broadcast, and also of others, and it was neglected. They are overwhelmed, even though you won't blame them. We are battling with Plateau. We know the killings in Bokos. May the souls of the deposed rest in peace. Look at Benue, look at other. We know they are overwhelmed. That is why we are saying recruitment into the 2 cadres of the armed forces police should not be that restricted, provided the candidate doesn't have criminal record, ill health. Let there be that. Both regular officer, cadets of Nigerian Defense Academy, Direct Short Service.
I think there's a manpower shortage is responsible.
It's also responsible, right? Because in Kayama now, the highest rank leading the army is Major. Who you have in divisional headquarters is Chief Superintendent, even though that is the standard for every divisional headquarters in local government, is supposed to be a DPO who should not be above the rank of CSP. What happened to sighting of Mopo Squadron, headed by Assistant Commissioner of Police? Because if these areas have battalions of army with more than, I don't know what is the numerical strength of, because sometimes security issue, you don't need to say it on air, that is between them. They know what is the numerical strength of a battalion. We are not calling for a brigade to be headed by either a brigadier general or a major general, but at least a battalion to be headed by lieutenant colonel or colonel, then squadrons.
How significant is this security threat? Because until recently, until this particular week, for instance, not many media outfits have taken note of this quote-unquote new terror group known as Mahmuda. And the police statement also goes to some extent to explain why, because they're saying there is an exaggeration of this security threat. How significant is this threat in terms of lives lost or the destruction that we're talking about here?
As I'm talking to you, because of the killings, even today I was told His Excellency Governor Zak Abdurrahman, some of the Protestant youths in the palace of Emir of Kayama brought out the corpse of the vigilante from Banisula that was killed, and other ones that have been killed. As I'm talking to you, some inhabitants of Nuku, Kemanji have become refugees in Kayama as I'm talking to you. You see, once the SIB or CID or Kwara State Police Command is not gathering intelligence, this is what they will have to say. And that is why you see this citizenship policing in the Constitution is working. Like the ownership involvement now is what has been working. So it has gone that bad right now as I'm talking to you in both Kayama and Baruten local government. So if the command, as I thank God, some of the inhabitants are already attacking them, and already we are even taking steps to report them to Police Service Commission, Inspector General of Police, Minister of Police Affairs, and the President and Commander-in-Chief. The issues I'm putting here is the people, as I'm talking to you in this studio now, that are in Kayama are in those bushes and what have you. They are panicking a lot, have left their houses. And let me tell you the irony of the thing. For example, now in Kanikokon is another ward under Kayama local government. The bandits have also indirectly gotten involved in burning of trees, turning into charcoal, where big trucks are coming to convey the charcoal. This charcoal is serving as source of income to them. Security agencies, DSS, police, High Authority, Army, High Command should also take note of these things I'm saying. Then, like this Mahmuda terrorist group, they started like Lakurawa. When Lakurawa came to Kebbi and some suburbs of some towns in Sokoto, they came as if they were peacemakers. They started in Nanu and Nukuzi by preaching forcefully, preaching with AK-47, imposing tax on people. The credible intelligence is there that the initial people that were in the division headquarters and what have you, I believe, is before them. So even this spokesperson for Kwara State Police Command, I'm told the female officer is new, relatively new in the command. You have not related with heads of your outposts in these suburbs, divisional headquarters, and you are coming just because you want to impress your commissioner of police or AIG of your zone or DIG.
You think they're minimizing the effect or the scale of the problem by saying that it's been exaggerated? Then
if you play politics with security, one day we are not praying. It might escalate to Zamfara and other areas.
So just help us understand the scale once again in terms of Kwara State has 16 local government
areas, right? Absolutely.
So how many local government areas are we talking about here in terms of numbers?
Presently Kayama, Barutem, then kidnap activities is taking place in Kwara South, because even 2 days ago, a particular person was kidnapped. It was on social media.
So, I mean, in terms of the numbers, right, if you take 2 or 3, give or take, 2, say for instance, hugely impacted out of 16, surely you can understand where the police is coming from if they say a terror group, has emerged in Kwara State. 2 out of 16 local government areas. It looks minimal, doesn't it?
When you go by the operations of armed bandits and terrorists, it is not the number of places they captured, because people that are in Baruten, as well as Kayama local governments, and they are coming on their backs in hundreds, tells you their numbers in that forest should be more than 1,000. Don't forget, the Kwara axis we are talking about are bordered with Benin Republic. That makes it so porous. And I'll give you the geographical setting. From Kosobosu, you go to Gure and Chikanda. From Chikanda, you are meters away to Benin Republic through Chikanda, Niki. That is number one. Then you come through Shia. There is a place called Sendiro. From Sendiro, you are going to Benin Republic, so a few kilometers away. From Kosobosu, headquarters of Baruten local government, you are accessing Benin Republic through Dikidiru, few kilometers away. From Kayama, you can also get to Benin Republic through Kemanji, Karonzi. Then, from Kayama Kishi, which is Kishi is in Oyo State, you can also border even up to Burkina Faso from Chaki, which is still in Oyo State. So for people that don't know that terrain, it is so porous because the agricultural potentiality of these areas too, and coupled with bad roads, because right now, if not for the magnanimity of His Excellency Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu, that the Kayama Kishi Road now, the contractor has gotten to site. We want to say thank you to that to Mr. President and the hard-working Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, and his Minister of State, Bello Muhammad Goroyo, who made sure that the contractor mobilized to site. The road from Kanji to Kayama is just 62 kilometers, but you spend 4 hours. So the advantage of the dilapidated nature of these roads are also giving these bandits free day. The same way from Kayama to Kosobosu, these days people go by bike. It's no longer motorable. Then again, from those other areas to other suburbs. So it is not number of the local government, and when you compare the geographical size of Kayama and Baruten, honestly, when you go to Kwara South, some of them cannot compare. That is where you get the larger farming of yam, cotton, soya bean, and what have you. In fact, as I'm talking to you now, the numbers of trucks in areas where the bandits have not captured that loads soybean and cotton, you cannot even count them. So that makes it sensitive, irrespective of whether it is 1 or 2 local government. And don't forget, this was how that of Zamfara started. This was how that of Katsina started. It was ignored. No, it was in Batsari, it was in Jibia, in Zampara, it was in Maru, Shinkapi, Talata, Mahara. Today, we are where we are because of negligence. So, and we, for more than 5 years, we have been calling the attention of the federal government. Like I mentioned to you, outside that of Kayama, there is also a Barutem Patriotic Alliance. They have been calling on the government as well. Then, in the heart of Abuja here, in sensitive TV and radio stations like yours, we have made this clarion call overtime. So I think the local government, the numbers of local government is not the issue. It is the actions to be taken up, because if it becomes too late, it escalates from arithmetical to geometrical. They will be spending resources beyond what they expect.
Right. It's better late than never. And of course, prevention is always better than cure. But help us understand what these communities are dealing with here. Are they bandits? Do they fall into the radical categorization of terrorists? You talk about the known leader of this group who used to be aligned with the Boko Haram terrorist group, whose ideology is well known. What do we know? What do the locals know about this so-called new terrorist group, Mahmouda?
What they know is that they are dreaded, they are satanic, and they are deadly, because they kill at will. Just after they gave the Red Riot Act to inhabitants of Kemanji, Nuku, as well as Babete and Karonji areas, they practicalized it. They practicalized it. In fact, I will tell you where the negligence of the security agencies are also. There are the people you call wood loggers. Do you know when they go for their wood logging, because of conspiracy, they have certain amounts the dreaded terrorists charge them, and they have free and field day to carry out their activities.
So they levy commercial activities, local commercial
Absolutely, activities. They do right now as I'm talking to you. They do in Nuku, Babete, Kemanji, Karunzi, and other areas. In fact, of recent, in Bani Adena area, there was even a bandit who information signified that he left Zamfara axis because of the onslaught of the combined effort of the armed forces, police, and other security, and now found solace in Bani Adena area. As I'm talking to you, is in wildlife forest of Bani Adena presently.
You think their operations are met with little or no resistance from the security forces? I don't think
outside the vigilantes, I don't think they are getting the type of resistance they're supposed to get from the army, police, and other security agencies. With due respect to the Department of State Services, their intelligence report sometimes helps. But as regards the combat carrying out of onslaught by the army officers and personnel in Kayama, police and others, is not up to 20%.
Is it because they are not considered a big threat? Or because
they don't have the manpower, they don't have the resources. In the whole of Kayama local government, Barute local government, the army has only one ELOX. The police has only one ELOX. You can count the number of AK-47s in the division. You can count the number of AK-47s with the army. Where is the 8-hour drone? Where is the Tucano? Where is the mine resistance vehicle, MRAV, which is called Armor Personnel Vehicle, Carrier, APC? They don't have the wherewithal, enough manpower, resources, logistics. I can even tell you, ironically, creditably, of recent, when they got the information, some contingent of security agencies went there, but because the logistics were not there, they had to return back. I got this true intelligence report from one of the inhabitants. So even if the army or police are to go, what is their strength, numerical strength compared to the terrorism? And don't forget, from that axis, you can access Benin Republic. From Benin Republic, you can go to Burkina Faso. Don't forget, even the president of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré, used to lead his own gendarmes to carry out onslaught against them. So I think the proliferation of arms is also creating much problems. Then again, the war that happened in Libya, they've got cheap arms in their hands. So the porous nature of the border from Libya, Mali, Burkina Faso to Togo to Benin Republic, and the nearest place is Kwara towns of Kosobosu, Gure, Chikanda, Dikidiru, Tabera, Okuta, Ilesha, Nyani, Gwanara. then under Kayama, local government Kayama, Kemanji, Nuku, Nanu, Babete, Kani Kokon, Bani Adena, Vera, and also of other things. So these are responsible factors. We are there to be enhanced intelligence gathering, as well as adequate manpower, intelligence gathering, gadgets, and what have you. It will have reduced, because that confrontation or carrying out of onslaught against them is not as superior as this going on in Zamfara, Katsina, Plateau, and other parts of Nigeria.
Right. The whole conversation around self-defense, or at least communities putting up a fight, has once again been re-echoed in faraway Taraba State. And of course, we do know that Nigeria's security challenges have been on for over a decade now. Let's listen to the thoughts of a former Minister of Defense who doubled down yet again this week, or this past week, about the need for communities to stand and defend themselves, because the help they're calling for might not necessarily be coming. Here is retired General T.Y. Danjuma.
A lot of problems, including security. As recently as 2 or 3 days ago, we've experienced kidnapping near Kashimila, and the threat of kidnapping will continue until we, every one of us, rise up and defend ourselves. It is quite clear the government alone cannot do it. I have warned very long time ago in a speech in Ukari, that our people must be prepared to defend themselves. That warning is as valid today as it was when I made it.
Prepared to defend themselves, something that signposts the inability of the government or successive administrations to provide the much needed security across the length and breadth of Nigeria. And insecurity has become a new normal now. This, of course, further signposts the growing concerns that many other communities continue to have over the inability of the federal and state government to provide the much needed law and order that is needed for Nigerians to operate day in, day out. And of course, we're having this conversation against the backdrop of developments in North Central, which has been in the news again. You talk about developments in Plateau, you talk about developments in Benue. Now we're talking about developments in Kwara, where there is this reported emergence of a new terror group that has been upending the lives of people in parts of Kiama, Baruteng local government area of Kwara State, and this has caused, a rather uncomfortable development for not just the communities, but for the security forces there, because they have to deal with yet another reality that adds to the complex security challenge in Nigeria. So, back here in the studio, let's get a sense of what these communities have been up against. I mean, the Emir has talked about how the activities of these terror groups have been met with the little resistance the vigilantes have been able to put up, and to the great consternation of the people there who feel left alone to fend for themselves. Give me an understanding of what the communities are able to do right now vis-a-vis the activities of the civilian vigilante groups who are pushing back against these non-state actors.
Presently, the first line of defense was what the inhabitants of Kayama, as well as Barutel local governments, took by taxing every family house certain amount of money to be able to fund the vigilantes who are also civilians like them. So that is the first line of defense.
People are actually contributing to defend themselves.
For every family house, they are contributing almost 315,000. So tell me the numbers of family houses in Kayama, to be precise. Without that, I think it will have been history. It will have been history. Maybe people living in Kemanji, Nuku, Babete, Nanu, Woro, Vera, Kayama, Bani Adena, then also Yashikira, Kosobosu, Okuta, Ilesha, and also further. Because sometimes, once it is happening here, the next place you hear is the other place. You see, like, with due respect to former Chief of Army Staff under the Murtala Obasanjo administration, Lieutenant General Tiwa Danjuma, and Minister of Defense under Obasanjo's Democratic administration, you see, we are not Americans. It is only in America where they have license gun in their homes. And even in America where it exists, look at what happens, where sometimes you see someone, maybe in school premises, going to shoot sporadically. While we support first line of, even the DSS, during one interagency, what have you, he did call for first line of defense, but it shouldn't extend to owning gun, because we know even on traffic-related matters, when a Nigerian get angry, he can pull the trigger. And the laws are, don't pull in anger and don't drop in disgrace. In this case, it will pull in anger and dropped in disgrace. So I think what the DSS was saying that time is, at least let us have cutlasses in our homes. I'll give you an example.
Yeah, but is that enough? I mean, it's almost as if that civilian JTF or vigilante groups are coming into a gunfight with a knife. And we all know who's going to win at the end of the day. You're just talking about some of the casualties that have been recorded.
Absolutely.
It's safe to say that these bandits or terror groups are well armed because of the proliferation of small and light weapons across the region.
Yes.
And we still have that problem with the borders not necessarily being well managed. So it's a David and Goliath situation here. And in this case, David is not necessarily winning.
Well, the issue, you know, sometimes when you're talking about defending yourself, you have to also weigh the options, advantages and disadvantages. If at the end of the day we say because of rising insecurity in the country, we should be licensed with certain type of gun and what have you, you also take into consideration the aftermath of it. And our level of civility is not up to that of American society. And even as civilized as Americans are, look at what still happens there. So our first line of defense, maybe we can have like spray, pepper spray, we can have cutlasses, we can have bow and arrow in our homes and all sorts of other things. But as a civilian, I wouldn't advise that we should be licensed.
Do you think communities are getting pushed to a point where this is no longer going to be a debate? They're going to find a way to arm themselves so that they can protect their lives, they can protect their livelihoods.
Presently, it is happening. It once happened in one of the markets in Lagos when they came to demolish certain structures there. I don't want to mention for security purpose. They realized they even had AK-47 in their shops. That is how far it has gone to. And I can tell you vividly, many homes in Nigeria, due to proliferation of arms, have AK-47, AK-49, and even rocket-propelled grenade, RPGs. I can tell you that. Of recent, when there was brouhaha between the Islamic movement of Nigeria followers and military officers at barracks, the stones they were throwing, the moment it landed the third road, it was like a bomb. There were certain bottles, even when they had confrontation with the police at Wuse Market, when they throw that bottle, banks like bomb. So that is to tell you a lot of groups, a lot of people have illegal arms in their possession. And what is the reason? Because the strength of the security forces is below our numerical strength. We are more than 200 and something million. What is the strength of the police put together? That is the largest security apparatus, followed by land army.
You believe it's a numbers thing? Some would say it's about strategy.
Well,
the strategy needs to be reviewed.
Strategy with minimum number cannot work. Let me give you an example now. Let's say about 200 Lakurawa are coming, and you just push 30 officers and men of the 8th Division of Sokoto to go against them. Onslaught, even with whatever strategies, except if you want to do what the American Marines did during the Operation Desert Storm against Iraq, where maybe through the maritime waters or through missiles and what have you, and we don't pray for that now. You can even see even nuclear development now. America, with the contribution of Russia and others, they are mediating with Iran. So except if you have to use that, that is the only strategy. But if it is a strategy of saying air onslaught, air raid, maybe air component, sometimes you can even do mistake where you bomb innocent people. It has happened in Maiduguri before, it has happened in Tujumbiri, in Kaduna State, and also other areas. So the issues are adequate manpower accompanied with modern gadgets goes a long way with improved welfare. Because when the officers and men are not also properly taken care of, sometimes they compromise. We've seen where military personnel, police personnel were caught ferrying arms and cartridges to these non-state actors. So everything must be correct. For example, you have one mechanized division in Kaduna. Without the support of air component group of the Air Force training ground in Kaduna, where you have the Air Force terminologies and what have you, or Air Weapons School in Kanji, Tactical Air Command in Makodi, or certain bases of the Air Force or Naval, what have you, it can't go. That is why you see presently the onslaught against Boko Haram and bandits in northeastern state, northwestern state is combined through combined effort. Air Force is carrying out air raid through their air component group. Then the ground troops of artillery, infantry, armor, and others are also doing, including the DMI. Then also the police mobile police force. Then the conventional officers, CID, DSS, they are carrying out intel. Then the conventional are also doing stop and search. Then the armed squad of immigration, civil defense, and also others are also involved.
Right, that's best case scenario. If we had all of that in play, working effectively, probably we wouldn't have this issue to begin with. But talk to me about what's happening on the ground. We're talking about communities that are mostly agrarian communities that deal in one or two commercial activities across the border. What has been the impact of this insecurity on some of those activities? How are people able to make ends meet, dealing with this new reality?
Right now, it has deprived a lot of people of their means of livelihood. Those that ferry certain products to Benin Republic have stopped doing it because the terrorists gave them warning, as well as security agencies also saying, do not go to certain areas.
Are there no-go areas?
There are no-go areas presently. Many areas after Kemanji forest is no-go area. Many areas around Nuku is no-go area. Nanu, no-go area.
Any time of the day, or?
Even as I'm talking to you now, there are certain areas they cannot go to. Right now, as I'm talking to you, there are certain axes from Kemanji that links up to Karunzi and Waters is no-go area. Because if you go there, terrorists will just get a free meat. Then also the preparation, the few members of the Nigerian Army Police are making, have also given warning to certain people that ferry rice, petroleum products, and also other things. Same thing extends to Barutel local government areas under Ilesha, Okuta, Asat. Yesterday, I got privileged intelligence information from a commissioner under one of the parastatals in Kwara. I would like his name to be under condition of anonymity, that onslaughts were carried out by the terrorists against inhabitants, some locals. There are many areas under Okuta, Ilesha, and other places.
And in terms of what this means, I mean, we're getting into a new farming season. The rains are here once again. What are the people on the ground saying about what needs to be done now? Are there any half measures? Are there any approaches that looks like a solution so far, except for the visitations by the governor and the GOC recently? What has been done to reassure and guarantee some level of safety so far, or is there none?
Before I came to this studio, still the community effort through the sponsoring of the vigilantes. As I'm talking to you now, some hours ago, the combined vigilantes have invaded some areas known to be their hideouts in suburbs of Kemanji. We are praying that they do it peacefully, they succeed and come back successfully. As before I made it out to this studio, they already made that trip, even though one of their members, I told you, from Barisula, was killed, and they even displayed the corpse to the governor. I don't know whether he had the mind to see it and what have you. Outside the community effort, we have not yet seen the detachment of
Have been no serious deployments?
Well, as at the time the governor visited, the pictures and information I got, we have not seen armor personnel carriers. We've not seen hoovering of either police helicopter or Air Force. Close by there, even though Kanji is in Niger, but the same Borgu, we have air weapons school and they have fighter aircrafts. Even the Tucano that Buhari bought, they are stationed there in the air weapons school. You can do that, because this awareness, I am telling you, we've already made it through indirect links to get to the attention of the Chief of Defense Staff, to Minister of Defense through some of their people, followers, and also of others, and how it went viral and also of other things. So by now, even though Mr. President is in France, he has been given order, he just gave order to Vice President, His Excellency Kashim Shettima, to proceed to Plateau. Same order can be given by President and Commander-in-Chief. For we thank God the governor, who is the chief security officer, because the presence of the GOC, you know, the GOC is not under the governor, automatically maybe it's from Chief of Defense Staff or the Chief of Army Staff, which is appreciative. But beyond that, there is the need for urgent deployment of sophisticated armed forces, members of Air Force, Army, then police, and also of others. What is the essence of having mobile police force? What is the essence of having counter-terrorism unit that wears red beret? Then we have the artillery and also of other things. Let them go, these areas mentioned. In fact, the communities are ready to give their OI as they've been given ownership involvement. They know the terrain. That's the advantage of that of Baruten and Kayama. The inhabitants of these areas know the terrain and the routes to the places. And they are willing. It's not like some other states where they are afraid. In the case of inhabitants of Kayama and Baruten, as well as Kanji, Borgu local government, they are ready to take them there. And recent, the Nigerian Customs Service, they arrested some kegs of petroleum products worth 100 and something million. Even the Controller General, Bashir Adewale, he sent an assistant controller general of customs there in Babana. Babana also in its forest have also some of these bandits and terrorists there, camped there. So you can see the intel there. Custom got it.
Yeah, and talk to me about what sort of, or what you make of the collaboration across some of these states that are dealing with, you know, similar attacks, as well as attacks from similar groups in these areas. Is there any sort of collaboration across the states who are looking at each other? Because just this week also, similar concerns were raised in parts of Kogi State, where military operations were successful, even though two personnel have reportedly lost their lives in some of those counter banditry and counter-terrorism attacks were launched in part of those states. Do you get a sense that these state governors are speaking to each other about coming up with something that looks like a united approach to dealing with the same enemy?
I think so. And advantageously, you know, the Kwara State governor is the chairman of Nigerian Governors Forum. So he cannot chair a forum where they will not have collectivity or uniformity. I believe now that it is practically affecting his own area, as chairman, he will use his position outside those they've been doing. Look at what collaboration is gathering in Zamfara, as well as Katsina. They are gathering momentum. The combined effort of the Nigerian Army, Air Force, Police, Civil Defense, Armed Squad of Immigration, DSS, and others is gathering momentum in Shinkapi, Maru, Augi, Argungu. Look at how Lakurawa that come to disturb Kebi and Sokoto were flushed out. Look at Sabon Birni, Goronyo, Isa, and others today. After the killing of the emir of the Gobiras, you can see they've relatively earned peace, and the disturbance is minimal. Katsina State also is gathering. So automatically, if same gesture is extended to Plateau, even though that of Benue is tribal.
Do you think the North Central itself right now needs to be taken seriously as a new frontier. So
Absolutely. Just the way we gave the warning 5 years ago. Outside the northeast, it came to northwest. From northwest, the next place has become north central. So from north central, if care is not taken, from Kwara State to Oyo State and Osun State, as well as other...
I mean, the Southwest itself has been dealing with some level of insecurity.
But not as deadly as the ones we are having in the entire northern geopolitical zones of north central, northwest, and northeastern states. Because Amotekun, don't forget, it was a collective idea of the southwest states, and today is gathering momentum. If you are entering borders of Ekiti, Ondo, Ogun, Lagos, Oyo, you will see the kind of check the Amotekun, and they are giving logistics, adequately taking manpower and all sorts of other things. In fact, you can mistaken them for gendarmes in neighboring Francophone countries.
Do you think at this point, with the reality facing North Central in the face, in light of everything that's happening in Plateau, in Benue, in Niger, in Kebbi, in parts of Kogi, and in Kwara, do you think that a regional outfit is a no-brainer now for these governors to really consider at this point?
A uniformed regional outfit like Amotekun, not the types they did in Zamfara, not the types they did in Sokoto, as well as Katsina. It should be a uniform one, like Amotekun, to be jointly funded. You understand my point. Even we are talking Mina, Niger State capital. Yesterday, there were killings. A female was killed, another person was killed. I think they went for raid for drugs or what have you. So you can see, even Mina, that produced two former heads of state generals, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, Abdusalam Abubakar, can face that. So what I'm trying to tell you, if the North Central do not borrow from what happened in Southwest by setting up uniform, voluntary security apparatus like Amotekun, automatically it is going to escalate. The shameful thing, in Minadea you have training and doctrine command. In Kontangora you have military cantonment. In New Busa Kanji, where you have the largest dam, you have air weapons school, 101 battalion, then you have the 221 battalion. Then in Ilori, you have Soviet barracks. Then the irony of it, Kwara is a north central state. Do you know the cantonment in Ilori is under the 2nd Division Ibadan, which is southwest? It's not proper. They should set up another division with headquarters in either Ilori or Mina, Niger State, to be of same level with one mechanized division in Kaduna. Look at Sokoto, they have a division. Zamfara, I believe they have two. Port Harcourt has 6 divisions. Lagos has 81 division. Enugu has 82. Jos has 3rd division. Then on and on.
Right. Okay. Just before we wrap things up, one particular issue that has become a common denominator has been the issue of illegal mining. And we know that North Central has one of Nigeria's highest deposit of solid minerals. Is there a concern that Kwara, because I believe Kwara has industrial minerals like marble, dolomite, kaolin, silica, sand, quartz, granite, talc, and the rest of them. Is there a concern that there are some of these activities over there that is likely going to fuel some of these things? Because a correlation has already been made between illegal mining activities and the rise of insecurity, whether it's in Zamfara, in Niger, or in other states. Are there situations like the video that we're seeing on the screen right now? Of
presently, as I'm talking to you, underwater, when you leave Wawa going to Kayama, illegal mining is already happening. And there are intelligence reports saying the terrorists and bandits are also involved in it. Then we have Gandu. Gandu is close to Tembo in Kayama local government as well. They are also doing it there. Don't forget, of recent, government even gave mining licenses to certain expatriates, right? That of Kayama, none of them have been able to access their areas because they are run. In fact, this Mahmuda terrorist group, they are running a parallel government, both in Kayama local government, Borgu local government area of Niger State, as well as Barute local government. I tell you, they are running parallel government where they impose taxes involved in illegal mining, as well as burning of trees to make charcoal where trucks are conveying. So I think the DSS, DIA, DMI, and other immigration service and others, they should spread their attack, including the police force, criminal investigation department as well, because that is presently taking place. If they disguise, they can get the report.
Okay, and just before we go, your final thoughts. Do you think this cry for help, the visitation of the governor and the GOC, and the attention of Nigeria now turning to these developments would bring in a new chapter for these troubled areas of Kwara State?
It is not the visitation that matters. It's for the governor to use his position as governor of that state to rightly come and see Mr. President when he returns from France and plead for the establishing of Mopo squadrons in these areas I mentioned, as well as well-equipped military cantonment or even Air Force base. Then for the GOC to also report to the Chief of Defense or Minister of Defense of what he had and what he saw